This is Hellbrent for Leather, and you're watching Cast in the Act. Hey everybody, thanks for coming back and catching another episode of Cast in the Act. I got a cool one tonight. Caught a little bit of an audible during the last episode that we had with myself and Henry from Eindhoven, who helped start up the Dynamo and such. Told a bunch of cool stories, and I got to talking to him about doing a part 2. And he said, I've told most of my cool stories. I really only kind of have one left, and it would be a cool 15 minutes, but that's about it. I figured that the rest of the show would be kind of boring. So he opted not to come back on and do that, and I agree with him on that, because then him and I would trail off and start talking about Nevermore for the next hour, because that's one of mine and his favorite bands, and that just doesn't fit the theme of the show. So I have a guy on tonight who's gracious enough to come on. I've wanted him on since the beginning. He's the first person I consulted about doing the show. Because he has some involvement in regards to this world and such. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring him on now. Mr. Jarvis Leatherby of Night Demon. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, man. You're my first quote unquote high profile guest. We're still in the we're still in the infancy of this thing. This is episode 6. So, okay. But I felt it was important to have you on because not only with your tie-in to Satan and being their manager, but also you're carrying the flag for everything that those guys and their contemporaries started, 40 plus years ago, almost 50 years ago. You're carrying that flag into the future now with your own brand of that, being one of the better bands and the new wave of traditional heavy metal or whatever that they're throwing this new group into. There's several different names I've seen, but you guys are killing it. And I've been privileged enough to see you now, I don't know, I think probably 5 times at this point. The last time being at Prog Power, which was the best set I've seen from you guys, bar none. Got to see you with Cirith Ungol at Hell's Heroes. And so on and so forth. So take a couple of minutes. Who are you? Why did you get into to this? Who were kind of some of your influences, and what made you embark on this journey?
Yeah, I was born in Southern California, and there's about an hour north of LA. So like before you can drive on your own, LA was like, might as well have been 5,000 miles away, but that's where everything was happening. So in our town, there wasn't really much metal going on at all. Cirith Ungol was around for a bit in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s, but other than that, not much, So we kind of came from like the hardcore punk scene. We were like metalheads in that scene. But yeah, just our love for the greats of heavy metal and hard rock, and through them, we discovered, through the major bands, we discovered a lot of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, and that's kind of what started my journey more seriously into heavy metal, I guess you could say. Was your
embarking on that made way by Metallica?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Garage Incorporated is what turned me on to all of that. And so I since you and I are of similar age, I was curious to know if that was your gateway to it as well.
Yeah, but it was my gateway to it in like 1990.
Sure.
So I used to have to, there was a guy, Jim Salzer, he owned a record store out here. It's still open. It's been open since the 60s, but he used to get a lot of imports for me, vinyl and CD imports and old copies of Kerrang and Sounds Magazine and stuff like that. And so
sure.
pre-internet, that stuff was great to have. That's
Absolutely.
where I got my whole education through that.
My generation had it super easy. We had Napster and SoulSeek and all of that. You guys were still having tape trade.
I still don't even know what that stuff is. you
Well,
know?
you guys were having a tape trade and do it the hard way, but I think that you guys probably appreciated what you were getting far more because it was so much harder for you to do it.
There was nothing, I never saw it as a difficult task. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
like if you think about it now, it seems difficult to go back and do it that way, I guess, you know. But there was just something different about it. And there was, you know, when you made a tape for somebody, I mean, you did all the artwork yourself, you hand wrote the track listing, you took the time to dub it, you know, and like I don't know, that's just so much more meaningful than sending somebody a digital file. Hey, check this out, you know. I still really appreciate that. Like it's kind of the life that, you know, the more that technology advances, I gravitate more towards that now. You know, I go back. I mean, I've got like even like DVDs on my desk and stuff, you know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just still
I think
there's you know, there's a
I,
lot of great things about modern convenience for sure, and I do take advantage of those. I'm not a total dinosaur, but having patience and focus on something for a piece of art, you know, it deserves your focus and attention. And so I try and do that as much as I can.
100%. Like if I'm at work and I'm not listening to a podcast, I'm streaming music. But if I'm at home, I refuse to stream music. I am listening to it via usually vinyl. You know, I may throw a CD on every once in a while, but I think in the
Yeah,
digital
CDs
age
are
where
great.
everyone is just streaming everything all the time, you don't have the connection to the music because you're just constantly shuffling and moving on. Whereas with a record, you're kind of committing to listening to the whole thing because you're putting it on and you don't want to have to get up every time the song changes and take it off, put another one on, drop the needle again. So I think you're more committed to really immersing yourself in the music. You've got the liner notes, you've got the album that you can go through and such. And so I really wish I could have come up during that time because I didn't really get into metal until
I mean, you can
99 or
still do it.
2000. Oh
You
no,
can still, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
absolutely doing it now, but I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
come up that way.
yeah.
So
Yeah, all good. To each his own, you know.
sure,
I'm fine. Any way that anybody feels comfort doing something, just do it, you know.
sure. So you kind of got into new wave of British heavy metal via Metallica and others that you were discovering through this record shop and through the small scene, and it was Ventura, right? Is that where you're from? Okay.
Yeah.
Um so like who were some of the bands that you initially glommed onto that you liked, maybe some
Well,
more than others or
my dad was in a band with Michael Anthony from Van Halen. They were
sure.
in their first band together, and so that band was always kind of around growing up. And um, yeah, I took it for granted a lot when I was really young, but you know, not no, definitely before I was 10 years old, I was getting into it. So Van Halen, Metallica, Scorpions, AC/DC, Megadeth, Slayer, um, those were the accessible bands. Those were Anthrax. Those were the bands that were always in the bins. You know, if you went to a record store, you always, and at that time when you don't have much money, like you know, it's not you when you went to the record store, you usually had enough money to buy one thing, you
Yep.
know, maybe two, but one would have to be a CD and one would be a tape. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
because tapes were cheaper then, which is funny because now tapes cost 3 to 4 times as much as a CD to manufacture. You know, it's kind of
Ye-
funny. Um, but anyway, yeah, I mean, those were the kind of gateway, um, you know, mainstream bands. Um, but you know, being in the punk scene, we were exposed to all kinds of stuff. You know, like the crossover bands too, like DRI. You know, there was some. You know, like Metallica exposed us heavily to Danzig and the Misfits as well, but like being being involved in the punk rock scene, it's like that stuff was already kind of known to us a little bit, you know. So, or bands like Discharge, you know. But yeah, I mean, it just everything stems. I mean, I think discovery still happens the same way it used to, you know, word of mouth, and then seeing something. You know, you used to see it in a store, now you just see it on a computer or a phone, and you kind of, you know, artwork always piques your interest, right? But just there, it was different looking at the artwork for so long as you can go to a record store over the course of 10 weeks and see the same album cover and be a little bit intrigued by it, but not intrigued enough to buy it,
Yep.
until the 10th time of looking at it, just always wondering, like, what does that sound like? I remember when record stores first started having like listening stations, and that was amazing because you could be like, I want to listen to this before I buy it. And you were able to do that. But a lot of stores didn't have that, so. But
Yeah,
all is
there was
good, man. All is good. Progression in life is good. And, I, that's why we don't live forever. We have like these seminal moments in our life that we kind of decide at a certain age, who we are and what it is that we do in this world. So I've kind of found, I've found where I'm comfortable with it.
Well, it sounds like too you kind of had a leg up in regards to having a father who was in the industry. It kind
Well,
of
he
sounds like,
wasn't. No, he wasn't in the industry at all.
well, he was in a band with Michael Anthony. I mean, in that regard,
Yeah,
like he
yeah.
played
When they were
music.
kids. When they were
Yeah,
kids. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
but he
yeah,
was a
yeah.
musician, and kind of probably you saw that around some, and maybe thought a little bit more about music being more important than maybe books or
I
maybe
mean,
movies
in a
or
way,
whatever.
but my dad didn't do it as a profession, so I never
Okay,
put that in line. But I was in love with cinema and things like that too. Just so many different mediums of art.
sure.
So, but seeing, Metallica play live at a really young age, like that was like I was like, all right, yeah, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. And I've never looked back.
Sure. Kind of on the same subject, but a little off of it. When I was going through your bio, when I actually first started conversing with you, what was it now? Back in the end of March, early April, somewhere around there. Because I knew you from Night Demon, because I'd seen Night Demon a number of times. It blew me away that you did live vocals for Jaguar for a little while. I fucking love
I did.
Jaguar.
Yeah. Again, that was another band um, that I got into, especially the Power Games record at a really early age. That was one of the ones that I thought the album cover was so funky. Like I had to get that. And I
Yeah,
had heard Backstreet Woman on the 79 Revisited compilation first. And then I got that record and I was like, wow, this is a whole new singer. And it was just as good, if not better. Um, so yeah, being able to sing with those guys and do shows with those guys around the world, I mean, that was just a bucket list thing. A lot of my vocal style comes from listening to Paul Merrill on that album, and that was a really big deal for me, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad
well,
I
it's
got
fun.
to do that.
It was funny because when I was first getting into Night Demon and such, I thought that your vocals reminded me of him and them,
Oh,
and so when I was looking through it later, I was like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. And then I
yeah,
went back
cool.
and saw that you guys had covered Axe Crazy and such, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, all right, hell yeah. So
Yeah,
that the first EP, I really like that EP. Um I like everything I've heard so far, but that first EP is fantastic. I'm actually
yeah.
returning to radio this weekend. I haven't done radio in like 7 years, and this is
Uh-huh.
probably it might be a one-off, but I am playing your self-titled song
Great.
in my set. So
Thank you. Great.
yeah,
Yeah, the
um,
early stuff, it's like I still love it just as much as I did then. I mean, it definitely captured a moment in time and it was a really good moment. It was a good moment for us in our lives.
yeah, and I don't really think that you've compromised either. Like you still had your core sound. You've not deviated from that, but you're also trying to expand out a little bit and bring in other elements and such where you're still unapologetically Night Demon, but you're also like, hey, we're Night Demon, kind of trying a little bit of this too and a little bit of that.
Let's see where that goes. I don't know, man. We might get real weird.
I mean, dude, I'm into Zappa. So
Okay, all right, cool. Well, we
yeah.
won't get that. We won't get that weird. We won't get
Yeah,
that
I
weird.
mean, I'm wearing a Defend Jugulator shirt. It's one of my
There you
favorite
go.
Priest albums, and there's so many people that hate this record, and I don't understand why. So,
Right on. Right on.
so how did you fall in with Russ and the guys, and how did you come to? I would imagine probably share the stage with them at some point, and then maybe became friendly, and then in a different professional capacity, or
Yeah, we met them in 2015 in Sweden. We had played a Night Demon had played a festival with Satan. We had met them and hung out with them. Then we ended up together doing something in Spain. and a couple other places I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, a friendship, some German festivals too, right? But just friendship started to brew, and um, uh, I think it was around 2017. Their deal was up. Their record contract was up with Listenable Records in France, and they, excuse me, they were kind of looking to do something a little bit more. And Steve had approached me and asked if I could help shop the band for a new record deal, and that's kind of how that started. And then he brought up the idea of like possibly managing them, and I was like, yeah, I'm into taking a meeting and seeing what you guys want to do. So, and it's kind of been all history since then.
Sure.
But it would happen very organically, and it felt right.
Did Iron Grip exist at this point, or did it get started
Yeah, it
around it?
did.
Okay.
No, it did. It existed since 2015. It was never my intention to manage bands. It's
Sure.
like some days, trust me, I wake up and I wish I had not taken that path. I shouldn't say that, but
I get what you mean.
it's difficult. It's a 24-hour a day job, and there's a lot of things to do. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things to do, and
No,
and it gets down to even aspects within personal lives of these bands, and it can be challenging sometimes, and it's just a lot. You know what? I'm not complaining about it, and I'll just say it's a job that carries a lot of weight, a lot of emotional, mental, and sometimes that affects the physical. I mean,
sure.
it's really it's just it's a rewarding job, but it can be stressful, and it's just a lot. It's a lot to carry around. Your brain is always on it,
Sure.
and you have to be ready to go at all times. That's the thing. It's like you can never shut off the phone or go on a vacation or anything like that,
Right.
so
You can't say not today because then maybe you miss some huge gig or
well, I
something like
mean,
that.
it's even more than that. It's even more important than missing a huge gig. I mean, there's a lot. It's it's paying bills. It's
Yep.
looking after someone's health. It's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of bureaucracy in the world. To get anything done, and these are businesses, and they need to be handled like businesses. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's not just fun and games.
A lot of bands have the family atmosphere, and a lot of bands are like herding cats. So you kind of have to play.
Well, it's funny because even the herding cats is a very common thread here, but it's still family. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like herding cats for family is just something you're obligated to do versus like herding cats for a stranger. You're like, I'm fucking out. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So,
But I
yeah.
get what you mean about not you don't dislike it, but it gets challenging at times. I mean, I ran a movie theater for 7 years, and I think for 5 of those years I worked 70-hour weeks. I
Man,
wasn't allowed days off.
to be honest with you, that sounds like a fucking awesome job.
It was until it wasn't. Like there would
Yeah.
be times where it was the greatest thing I ever did, and then there would be times where I hated it every
Man,
single day for weeks.
I would love to own them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, there was a movie theater that right by my place that just shut down that I've been going to for years. And I thought for a second there, I go, maybe this is an opportunity for me.
Let's talk on this later because I may be
No,
able to talk you into it
I'm
or make
not.
you run from it.
No, I'm not doing it, dude. I'm not. I mean,
It can be very awesome and very rewarding, and it can be terrifying,
dude, I
and
have
there's huge
zero
pain in
time
the
and
ass.
I have zero time and space to do this. It's not
Yeah, and
possible,
if you don't have the
I
time, there's no way it
I
happens.
would blow up my life. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but anyway, I like that stuff. I love video stores, like all of that stuff, record stores, all bookstores, all the stuff that, there's a magic that happens when you walk into a place like that.
hmm
And to keep your focus to one selection and focus on that, those places are the gift that keeps on giving. You can keep returning to them, and pick out a new experience that you can take home that will probably change your life. Film can do that. Books can do that. Music can definitely do that. So yeah, I
yeah,
still look. I'm still a creator, And the way that I see business is creative too. You know what I mean? So we're
Sure.
here to be generative human beings and appreciate stuff that other people make too, you
Yep.
know, and we all play our little part in making our own piece of what the world becomes, right?
Sure. And that, I mean, that comes through just with some of the behind the scenes stuff that I see. That comes through with your care in trying to make sure that things are set up appropriately for, like, Satan going on tour or something another like that.
Hmm.
You're sending over all the materials to make sure, hey, we need to get this stuff out here at this time. We have contracts with these people to do this and so on and so forth. But then it also comes through in just your completely throwing yourself into Night Demon. And I mean, you put out a fucking action figure, dude. Like, you're all over the place with it, and people loved it from what I saw. Like, I saw all sorts of
Well,
cool comments about
yeah.
that and other stuff that you've done and the box sets and everything. It's like, anyone that is even kind of paying attention that knows who you are can tell that you're a very creative person, and you put a lot of care into what you're doing.
Dude, I honestly think that we're all creative and that I was just in the studio today with
Mhm.
Cirith Ungol and the drummer said, I really like that part that you came up with. And I just told him because I thought about it. I'm like, I didn't come up with it. Like, I don't know where that came from. It's just like we're all just kind of like vessels for this. You know what I mean? Like, I think just doing the work and showing up, everybody has $1 million idea at least once a month. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That they don't act on, and then
Yep.
somebody else does, and they go, I thought of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, man, if you can just sit down and try and do something with focus, like anything is possible, and it's crazy. Like I get such a thrill from that. Like every day, just flexing that creative channel, I like to call it. You know what I mean? And just opening that up. And like if you have this kind of confidence that you know that in the end everything's going to come together and all work out, it's kind of like it gives you that patience. You're like putting together this big puzzle all the time. You have to
Yep.
start with one piece, right? Um, but I still just the creative aspect of life and just building things, like it's still so much fun. Then sometimes, you get in these slumps where you think you're out of ideas or your time has passed or whatever, and then something hits you like a lightning bolt and you're just like, God, where the hell did that come from? And it spurs this whole thing.
Sure. I mean, Stephen King got writer's block at times, and he's the most
I
prolific horror author of all time. So,
Yeah, On Writing, I recommend that book by Stephen King. It's really good. It's a really good book about his process of how he does it. And it's very humble how he does it, and it's super inspiring.
sure. Yeah, I just kind of talking about books and such. I just tore through. Have you read No Sleep Till Saltburn, Mark
I
Gregory?
haven't. No.
The last chapter in it is about that first Satan tour to Holland in February of '83, and he went on the
No
road with it.
shit.
Yeah, because he was writing. He had his own magazine called Cleveland Rock, or his own fanzine, I guess, called Cleveland
Hmm.
Rocks. But he went on the road with them to Holland for the week and a half or whatever it was that they were out, and it's super funny because that article was published in Kerrang. I have the it's June '83, or yeah, May '83, I think. It's got Gene Simmons on the cover, spitting blood everywhere. And it's called To Holland Back, or something. I forget exactly the full
That
title
sounds
of it.
cool. Like To Hell and Back, but To
Yeah,
Holland
yeah.
Back, yeah.
But I'd read the article and I thought that was great. And then my buddy Henry, who I had interviewed on the previous episode, he's actually on the cover of it. One of the pictures from the Dynamo, he's on the cover, and he's like, "You need to read Gregory's book." And I was like, "Well, shit, I didn't know that existed." So I bought
Yeah.
it, and I mean, the whole book is fantastic.
I've
Like
loved
the
it.
early days
Yeah,
of
I'm not even I don't think I'm even aware of that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I got it on Amazon. It was like
Okay.
13, 14 bucks. It wasn't very
Cool.
expensive, but it was very good. It was I
I can
read it in
spare
an
that.
afternoon, like 400
Right
pages
on.
and I blazed through it. So but yeah, I'm a voracious reader. I don't read as much anymore, just because I'm busy doing stuff, and it's a stupid excuse. I could find time to do it if I wanted to, but I just tear through stuff that interests me, and I love music books.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing, man. If you're that's one thing that we're conditioned when we're young, um, is to be forced to read certain things. But I tell people all the time. It's like if you start reading something and it doesn't grab you right away, and you're having to force yourself to go through it and start rereading pages early on in the book,
Yeah.
just put it away, man. Like, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't need to. You if that book doesn't resonate with you, it's fine. It's just like music or any other form of art. It's not for everybody. Just move on to things that interest you. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's funny because like the things that interest you. So kind of my background a little bit in music was I was into like Sublime and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones
You're a
and
ska
art.
kid.
Yeah, well, I was from Athens, Georgia, so I was big into like REM and
Yeah.
all of
Okay.
that. So that was me in like elementary school because that was kind of the stuff that my dad was listening to. And then I moved to a new town and ninth grade high school. I get on the bus and this guy looks at me and he goes, "What are you listening to?" Because I had my Discman. He's like, "What are you
Hootie and the
listening to?"
Blowfish.
Yeah, Hootie and the Blowfish. I was probably listening to that one day, and he goes, "You're not going to listen to that crap on my bus." And I'm like, "What?" Like now, I'm very confident in who I am. Like I'm not a meek person now. Back then, I was like, "No, please don't hurt me."
Yeah, but look, like you're only it's not to say that that's even that any of that's bad music, Like,
Oh
I
no,
don't
no,
think it is.
I
Like,
I don't
you know.
listen to it now, but it kind of formed where I eventually got. So I'm always going to have a
Yeah,
soft spot for it.
of course.
But so the next day, he brings me quote unquote homework. So your baptism of fire was one thing, getting into metal. Mine
Mhm.
was Merciful Fate 9 and Megadeth Killing Is My Business. I knew
Huh.
no heavy metal outside of AC/DC and Metallica, the Black Album. And
Yeah.
it terrified me and I loved it and I never
Yeah.
turned back.
Nice, dude. That's great. That's great.
So like I love soaring vocals and great riffs and such and so that's what drove me because that kind of all started with the new wave of British heavy metal in my opinion. I mean, yeah, some pre-band, Priest and so on and so forth help facilitate that too, but like that's why that's what brought me there. So Diamond Head and unfortunately I was late to the ball with Satan. I became a Satan fan after Life Sentence, so like probably
That's fine. That's a good thing. That
2015.
means that's good. That means that their reunion did something important,
Oh yeah, they are the
So,
most. They are. I've heard many people say this, and I agree too. They are the best band to ever do a reunion with their quote unquote classic lineup and put out material that was as good, if not better, than their original
they're
album.
the only band to do a reunion with their classic lineup at all from that scene.
From that scene,
Yeah, who
sure.
else?
I mean,
Who
not
else?
not not overall from metal. I don't think.
No, but out of the new wave of British heavy metal, they're the only. I can't think of a single other one.
I think I agree with you on that. I can't think of any either because
Yeah, I
unfortunately, too
mean,
many of those guys died off.
yeah, and it's good. I like no, not that's good. I mean, the Satan stuff, the
No, no, I
reunion
got what you
stuff
meant.
is good. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
go back and forth between whether or not Cruel Magic or Atom by Atom is my favorite album.
You don't have to have a favorite.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about it.
So kind of, what are Night Demon's plans now? It's been a
We're
little
gonna
bit
take a
since
lot
we're
of.
at an
We're gonna
album.
take some time off the road. Yeah, we're gonna take at least a year, maybe year and a half, which we haven't done since we started. So, but we're gonna make a new record, and we've got another really big project in the works right now that we've been trying to do for 3 years. So it's a creative break, and it feels amazing. When the pandemic hit, we had such a good time. Especially that first year of 2020. Like, we had spent so much time together on the road, and we had just come off tour when the pandemic hit, and we were like already around each other. We didn't need to isolate from ourselves, and we just had all this extra time. All of our tours were canceled, and we're like, okay, let's and that's when we wrote the Outsider album. So we're kind of trying to recreate that a little bit here without masks or like deathly illnesses or anything like that,
Sure.
just for ourselves though. Like a hibernation period from the outside world, for a bit to kind of get our bearings back. And we've already started the process, and it's feeling really good.
Awesome. I mean, live, you guys are a force to be reckoned with. I heard nothing but praise from the Prague Power set. Even people that had no idea who you were just like, those guys were fucking great. And I loved how you go out there, and I do not like, and I didn't watch the whole set. I watched all of it, but a song and a half maybe, because I had to run back and forth doing stuff because of working for the fest. But everything that I saw was uninterrupted, and I don't think you ever said a word to the audience, and they
I
didn't
usually don't.
Yeah, it just you
Yeah.
hit the stage, that first note to the last note. You didn't have to speak. The music did it for you.
Yeah, I mean, people watch me on these things and hear me talk enough, you know what I mean? So, uh, yeah, you just let the music do the talking. In the words of Paul Stanley, you know. But if I address the audience, it's usually at the end, near the end of the show, and I find that um, that when you do that, especially if you're playing in front of a bunch of new people, like at Prague
Yep.
Tower, right?
Yep.
Like they really kind of listen to what you say because it's probably going to be something important if you know, if they haven't heard you speak yet, right? So if Brian Ross is listening right now, uh,
Woo! I love Brian, but
I
yeah.
love Brian's rants and I love his on stage banter, but I do have this vision of as the manager of the band. And look, I could never tell him what to do, and he wouldn't listen anyway. Probably in this respect, but I would love for him to come out, you know, with the fucking black gloves on and the sunglasses and the fucking handcuffs and fuck. Even if he had wings, I think I would care. That'd be fucking or a fucking like Phantom of the Opera cape. It'd be amazing, you know. But you know, I feel like if he was a little bit more mysterious on stage, you know, and then took a chance to speak about something, I think he would have the audience's ear and their full attention, you know.
But to the
Um,
flip side of that, I think the constant banter between he and the crowd, and it is a collaborative
I don't
effort
like
between he
that.
and
I
the
don't like
crowd,
that.
but
I
it
don't like
shows
that.
that he's having fun. Like he's
Yeah,
enjoying himself on stage.
I mean, the guy has a good time all the time, you know. He's
Yep.
a great guy to work with because he's so easygoing, you know. I mean, the God, shoot, some of the things that he's been through on tour, these, I mean, insane tour schedules and the amount of partying that goes along with it. Like he's amazing. I mean, that he can get on stage and sing like that after all the bullshit that I've put him through, you know. But I don't like the exchange with the audience. I just don't personally. I
Sure.
don't like breaking the fourth wall. You know, he's the entertainment. He's there. They're there to see him. If somebody shouts something at him, I don't think that deserves his attention at all. I just don't. And there's no need to have a dialogue with somebody in the crowd who shouts at something at you. You know what I mean? No matter what it is. I've made the mistake before, plenty of times. I've done it. So I'm speaking from experience here. You know, but no, if he came out as a mystery man and the fucking band's called Satan and you haven't fucking seen or heard these guys before and they play the way they do and they play those songs the way they do, I would be frightened in the best in the best way possible. I would be fucking blown away. But once he starts talking, that humanizes him. And once he has an exchange with the audience, now he's in the audience. So I'm looking at it from a totally different point of view. And
Sure.
both are cool, I suppose. But my preference and Brian's a huge Alice Cooper fan.
Yep.
Alice doesn't speak.
No.
So there's a theatrical element to Alice as well. But Brian has that without the props in Satan. And I think, you know, just his stare alone, you know, when he puts his hand out and stares into the audience, like, oh God, am I Sieg Heiling right now? Jesus, sorry. I don't want to
And
get canceled. Cut that
it,
out. Look at that.
uh,
What I just did an Elon
there,
Musk.
there,
But
there'll
no,
be
but,
no
but
there'll be no canceling on this
no,
show.
but do you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
like when he does this thing where he, you know, kind of
Yeah.
stares and he puts his hand out, you know, right? And like he's putting a spell on the audience. Like I just think that's so fucking cool. Just live there. There's so much you can do without ever speaking a word. It's a visual experience, a live concert, and he has good body control in that way. His singing stance looks so fucking cool. He doesn't need to say a word, in my opinion. I'm not saying that
I don't disagree with you on that, because I think for those who do know who he is and those who are about to see who he is, he's Brian fucking Ross, and it would do them well to remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if they don't know anything about him, though, they're going to want to know more about him if there's not a 5-minute dialogue. I mean, that's exaggerating. If there's not a 60-second dialogue before every song, you know what I mean? So sure. I think here's the way I see it, actually. I think that certain gigs require certain treatment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that would depend on the occasion. At a big festival, I say the less is more.
Yeah.
At a very small, intimate club gig where fun is happening and all these cool things are going on, and the audience is so much a part of the show because you're basically up against them, that's a scenario where that makes a lot more sense to me,
Yeah, I got you. I was friends with Warl Dane before he died, and anytime I was at a show, he would fuck with me in the crowd, and I'm standing there like I'm enjoying it, but then I'm like looking outside of that, and I'm just like, a bunch of people in here have no fucking idea who I am, and they're not in on the joke. He should probably just sing.
Sure, but it's cool to be the guy to be included, right?
Yeah, but I was the guy in hundreds of people.
No, I know. Like, no, I understand.
These people paid money. I was on the guest list. Like, cater to them more.
Right.
So, well, we're coming up on about 36 minutes now. I know you had about 40 minutes, you said. I greatly appreciate you coming on. For those who are living under a fucking rock and don't know who you are, where can they find you online? What's the band socials, so on and so forth? I know you've got a podcast and such too with the band. So
yeah, nightdemon.net. Nightdemon.net. You can find everything there. Check out Cirith Ungol. Check out Satan. Check out Midnight. Check out Visigoth. All the Satan side projects.
You rep Blitzkrieg too, don't you?
Blitzkrieg, yes. Skyclad. All great bands.
Please get them here that aren't on the boat. I can't get on the boat.
Oh yeah. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, just enjoy some music. Enjoy the music you like, because the fact that you like it, somebody took the time to craft it, and all art should hopefully find its audience someday.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, thanks for watching. I'll be back in a few weeks with a new episode. I have some cool stuff kind of lined up, not set in stone yet, but some stuff I'm working on behind the scenes that I've reached out to some people and getting some info and so on and so forth. So I'm looking really forward to sharing that here soon. But until then, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you very much.